Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Ask Dr. Renee show. If you've never watched us before, we are here to motivate and inspire you to live the life you deserve. Because let's face it, this is not a dress rehearsal. We only have this one life, so you might as well live it up. My guest today understands that completely and fully. She's all about manifestation because her whole life, I think she really did manifest. And I'm so glad that I've been able to watch it because it's very inspiring, everyone. So we have Valeisha Butterfield Jones with us today. Thank you, Valeisha, for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Renee.
So you guys, right before I forget, I have a few housekeeping I have to tell you. One, everybody make sure that you are subscribed. You hit the bell for notifications so you know when we're on. If you're not on my email list, you want to get on it, text Live Life to 66866. 66866. And tomorrow I will be talking about my life on with my friend Santrice Martin. Excellence is. So I'll try to remember to share it on my Facebook page, but otherwise, please check this out tomorrow, you guys. It's at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's 3 o'clock Pacific and 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. But everyone, please check it out and support my friend and support me. But I think that is all. Oh, and of course, you guys on YouTube, super chat, super stickers. I know you might have questions for her because she has done it all. Okay. Author and speaker and all of that. So I did put the link. If you were on the list, I put the link to the first episode when she was on. She was on like in the first season. I think she was in one like my first 20 shows. So thank you to you. Do you know this is season 7, Valeisha?
Wow.
And now we're a monetized channel. So we've really grown and, we got better lighting and real cameras now. Yes, we try. So you guys, please check that episode. But now we got to pick up where we left off. So Valeisha, at that point, I don't think you were working at Google yet.
I don't think so. I think it was right before.
Yeah. So first of all, your title at Google, what was it?
Well, I started as head of Black community engagement and left as global head of inclusion overall for Google worldwide. So that was over almost a 5-year period.
She did so many amazing events with Google. A lot of them obviously ended up being, we could see them live. And I was like, wow, it was just really cool. And then she did a really cool dinner at Essence that I got to go to. That was so fun. That was so nice.
I really, it's so interesting because I met Dr. Renee at a time in my life that I thought I had figured it all out, right? I was on a good path. I'd moved to Chicago and I was working. Who was I working for at the time? Was it Alzheimer's? I was working for Alzheimer's Association at the time. And, I was a young professional in a new town. And Dr. Renee, you were one of the first people that I met that truly embraced me in this new city. And then when I say I thought I had figured it all out, I was 30 years old and in a mad dash out of New York City and out of the entertainment industry because I thought I had to grow up because I had now arrived at 30 years old and I wasn't married yet. I didn't own a home. I didn't have, this big salary that I thought I would have at that age. And I remember, Dr. Renee, you and I just immediately gravitated to each other and became very close friends right away. And now looking back on that journey, that was back in 2007, 2008.
Wow.
And I can honestly say that over this, decade plus, I now know at 30, I didn't have anything figured out. I thought I knew it all. And I'm so thankful for our friendship because I've been able to just have good friends that I can call, good friends that when I'm in town, I can say, I just touched down in Chicago with no warning and you're at the airport in 15 minutes. And that's just what we do. And so what I love the most about this journey of life for me has been our sisterhood and just how we show up for each other as Black women.
Yeah. The way that I met you was, and I still can't remember how I knew, but somehow I ended up at this event.
I remember.
Plan the Ween event, and I have no idea how I found out about it. That's the weird thing. I don't even remember. But I was like,
I don't think that was the first time, Renee.
That wasn't it?
No, I don't think so. Okay. So if I recall, the Ween event was the second time. But I think there was another event that I had nothing to do with that I went to, and Christina Rice was there. Nicole Kane of XO Nicole was there, and you were there.
Really?
I think I might have it mixed up.
I don't know. But no, we did that together after the fact, I think.
Okay, then I got it mixed
up. But because Christina was in town, remember, for an event, and you know, we went to the event. Yeah. But no, it was really, I don't remember. Maybe Adrian told me, but I don't remember. But somehow Adrian from Clark, I don't know. So somehow I go to this thing, because you guys, I am the queen of volunteering, and especially when girls are involved, I volunteer, I show up. And so I got to take part, and I got to meet Sabrina, whose niece ended up being my Girl Scout. And I mean, it's just so crazy, the connections that, you know, you've helped me to make. Like THINX was on my show because you guys, we were at Essence, me and Valeisha, and she's like, come, we need to take Dee a drink. And I'm like, what? And she's like, just come. I'm like, okay. And we go up to the DJ booth, and it's THINX, and she's like, this is my girl, Dr. Renee. And I'm like, oh, hi, you know, and we take him a drink. And so after that, we remember that event, we picked him up, and we went to the event in Chicago.
I even remember what I had on that night. I do. It's now coming. Yeah.
And so, and then, of course, I went to her fabulous wedding, and THINX was the DJ at the wedding. And it was funny because Mike Warner introduced me to him that day, and he goes, I know Dr. Renee. Yeah. We follow each other on Twitter. It's like, okay. And so THINX, because he's been on the show, and as a matter of fact, on the show, he said, "You're fam, Renee," because Valeisha doesn't introduce me to everybody. So if he felt that we should know each other, then you're family. And it was funny. We saw him at Essence, and my sister he saw me in the distance. This is in the dark at the Superdome, and I'm walking up to the Superdome, and he's like, "Doc," and my sister goes, "He really knows who you are." I was like, "You are so silly."
But I have to give you your flowers, because I think, you know, it's one of those things where, and I was just saying this to someone yesterday, like, we're in such a transactional, fast-paced business and world. And, you know, you have to be mindful of the people that you know, really bring into your inner circle. But in you, Dr. Renee, from the moment we met, you know, you are just a woman of integrity, a woman who's about her business. Like, you can ask anyone in the country, and for sure in Chicago or in Detroit or Michigan, about Dr. Renee, and you're going to get the same answer. A good woman who handles her business and does the right thing. And so, you know, I'm just thankful for who you are as a woman, and first, before the credentials, before the fancy, you know, platforms that we've been able to build and do, but just the good human being that you are, because I knew it from the moment we met. And I'm glad I was right, because we've been soulmates ever since.
But you guys, so Valeisha, in the pandemic, I don't even know how you got the idea. How did you end up starting the mastered classes? And you guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go check them out. But she literally in the pandemic just started every Friday going live. And actually, I remember the first one because it was like you did 2 in a day. And I joined on for the second one.
Yes.
And I was like, well, this is lovely. And, you know, what you didn't know is that I'm sitting there. I had like this imposter syndrome. Like, I can't really tell anyone anything. And I talked to Shanti about it. And she's like, Renee, yes, you can. Yes. And V can, you can. And I was like, yes. And
yes. Well, so I remember at the very beginning of the pandemic. So this was just a little over a year ago. I'm still working at Google, you know, in a great role, really supported by everyone in the company, from my manager, you know, across. And I remember waking up like a few days in a row, feeling like it was time for a change. And I couldn't get to the bottom of it because, you know, the salary is great. The people are great. The work I'm doing is meaningful. I'm making real impact that I can measure. All the things that I prayed for, I had, but still, I just kept having this feeling of it was time for a change, and I couldn't figure out what it was about. And so 2 things happened in like 2 months. The first was, you know, I said to myself, I wanted to inspire more women and more people and young professionals. So, you know, I thought it was going to be this fancy, well-produced series that I would design for, you know, a big network. And instead, I truly felt God whisper in my ear, just do it anyway. A year later, over 50,000 people have gone through my weekly programs and seminars, all online. And then the second was a big career move and pivot. At the beginning of the pandemic, when everyone thought I was crazy, no one understood the strategy or the logic behind it, but I really just felt in my heart that it was time for a change. So those two big things happened in the middle of a crazy pandemic. And I'm so glad that I listened to my heart.
Yeah. And I mean, just killing it every week. Yesterday, she had Lynn Richardson and MC Light, but you've had everyone. And I'm like, I mean, it's just amazing to watch. And then the Patreon, which I am a patron, FYI, in case you didn't.
Are you? Oh, wait, no, I did just see that. Yes, like 2 days ago. Yes. Thank you.
And I have a uniform. I wear running tights every day and a t-shirt and a hoodie. And this is the hoodie that I've been living in. Let me make sure everyone can see. It says Boss AF. And so you want to hear the funniest story? The other day, my dad was like, let me see your shirt. He goes, Boss F? So Alicia and I go, well, Dad, you know what it is? It's boss. And I said, as, and he goes, oh. He just chuckled. He thought it was the funniest thing
ever. My parents said the same thing. They were like, so what exactly do you mean by AF? I said, it's just go with it. Don't worry about what it means.
But and actually I wore the crop one yesterday. But yeah, I love my hoodies. My sister's like, I need to get, I was like, I said, I love my hoodies. So you guys, if you go to her site, which I have the link in the box below, you can go and get some of the BossCon stuff. And then I remember you went live and I couldn't go to the BossCon because I swear I can't do anything that I have to sit there while it's live because of people calling me every 5 minutes. So I think I sponsored like 10 girls or something. Because I was like, well, let me do something.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. So yes, you guys, she did a whole conference. She's done the master classes, and she had COVID, you guys.
And I had COVID.
And she had a child with COVID too.
My 3-year-old, 2-year-old at the time.
I don't know how.
But I know it's this. I know it's this. Dr. Renee and I love Essence Festival. Like that's our jam. Every year we go to Essence Festival. We meet up there. We try to hang out, And 2 years ago, at Essence Festival, a normal, fabulous Friday night, I'm moving from one event to the next, which was going to see First Lady Michelle Obama at the convention center. And I got into a horrific car accident. I mean, life-threatening, changed my life in a second. And since that moment, I already moved with urgency, but now I move at light speed. Because I just don't want to leave a single gift behind whenever it is time for me to go. And so, in this pandemic, as dreadful as it was, as deadly as it was, as painful as it was for so many, I will say that in this terrible, time for all of us, I've been able to truly hear the voice of God and hear what my spirit is saying, which has been move. Mm-hmm. Move. And so whatever that means, I guess I'll figure out one day. But what I know for sure is that, the master classes, the summit that I did, all of that was because I'm feeling and hearing this need to just move and do the things that I'm here to do. And so that's what is really motivating me every day.
And you know what? I tell everyone, like I said at the beginning, this is not a dress rehearsal. You have to do whatever it is now. And I have people who always ask me, Renee, how did you do that? Well, how did you do that? I was like, I just did it. And you have to just do. And not everything's going to be successful, but it's okay. You'll learn something from it and you'll do it better the next time. But, and I always tell people, you don't have to plan everything all the way out.
Yes.
You can plan the first step. The rest of them will fall into place. When you started Ween, I know that it was because of Don Imus and his crazy remarks. So you decided to start Women in Entertainment. Help me.
Empowerment Network.
Mm-hmm. And so I know when you started, did you know what you were doing when you decided to start that?
I mean, we never really know. Right. And I think that whenever you're taking a chance and doing something bold, it would be almost impossible for you to know exactly what you're doing, because it wouldn't be a bold move if you knew. It wouldn't be groundbreaking if you knew exactly how to do it. And so for me, I think that's what, real change is, like taking the risk anyway. And that's what Ween was about for sure. I was in my studio apartment with 3 best friends, just brainstorming. And sure enough, 14 years later, we've created a beautiful, beautiful program and legacy that we're leaving behind. And so many young women every single day. I mean, as early as 30 minutes ago, I got a call that one of our Ween graduates was a head publicist at a firm that was just like crushing all the goals right now. That just happened before we started this conversation. And so to me, it's about paying it forward. Never, like, we didn't know what we were doing. We just did our best. And I'm so proud. And I think the message is that none of us know, right? Like Dr. Renee has a doctor in front of her name, but she's not an expert in everything. And for sure, I'm not. And so I think it's remembering that, every great in history did it anyway and took the chance and made the leap. And so that's, for me, I think it's less about the success that you see on IG, less about the highlight reels that we, admire in other people, but more about the failures. Like, I know for sure I failed far more times than I've succeeded. And those are the stories I don't think we share enough, but really give the character and the like real credibility to the work once we do succeed.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like I said, I think just like she said, move, you guys, she didn't know what she was doing, but she started Ween and it turned into, I remember I was a mentor the very first year. And they had, how many girls would you have every summer?
Between 25 and 35.
And they would have all these girls and teach them all these things about the entertainment industry. And they would have mentors, they would have field trips. And I will not forget, Gia Peppers was one of those girls. And now I see her on the Today Show almost weekly. So it's just so amazing to see where the girls have gone. And, all of them are doing great things. And so they closed the doors on Ween this year because, they have other things they got to move on to and other people they have to help. But you made a huge difference. And like you said, you left a legacy. And I think if we all worry about knowing exactly how to do everything, nothing will get done.
And it's understanding that there's a season for everything, right? And I remember when we first announced that we were, closing the organization, I mean, hundreds of people reached out to me and each of the founders. And still, we were so clear and confident that, we did our job. We did what we came to do. And I think maturity is knowing, when the season is near its end, like when it's ending and being able to get in front of that pivot and deciding on your own terms when you're ready to close the chapter and open the next one. And so that has been a big lesson for me, honestly, because I think that, whenever you create something great, your natural instinct is to just keep it going, keep it running no matter what. But I think like maturity in business is understanding when a cycle has run its course. And then, again, having a responsible way to pivot that and then move on to the next big thing. And so, that has been such a beautiful journey for the co-founders and I, because we are closer than ever, best friends always, and together made this beautiful mutual decision based on the impact and legacy that we had already created. So I'm so thankful for Ween and my sisters and every graduate like Gia Peppers and Bearline Diaz. And I mean, I could go on and on and on, but those are the names you may know. But for every single woman, the 86,000 women that went through the program or were impacted by the program in some way, they're all stars. And I'm just super, super proud.
So you guys, I also cannot forget to mention that Valeisha is a graduate of Clark Atlanta University, so HBCU, because there's a lot of people that means something to them. So I want to make sure that we do tell them, everyone that she is a proud Clark Atlanta alum. But I also want to mention she's from Wilson, North Carolina. And if anyone knows anything about North Carolina, you guys, this ain't some big city. It is quite the opposite of that. But I swear, Wilson just turns out the stars.
I was going to say, we might be a small town, but we're big in heart because we go hard.
Yes, you guys do. And so, I mean, like we said, Sabrina was on Survivor and is just an amazing, she was a teacher and videographer, producer. She's amazing. And Christian, I mean, there's just so many people coming out of this area.
So many great people. Yes.
So many. But you had a dream when you were younger that you wanted to be in entertainment. And, a lot of people are like, well, I live in so-and-so, so there's no way I can get there. And, and you shouldn't block your blessings right away by saying that, first of all. Manifestation means you can't say negativity. You have to speak positively. So you literally went to New York with like a wing and a prayer, right?
Yeah, but it even starts sooner than that, right? Like I remember being 8 years old and obsessed with music knowledge, right? So not just music, because I was an obsessed fan for sure, right? You name any hip hop album in the late 80s, early 90s, I could probably rap every lyric with you, right? But the business of it at that early of an age, I became enamored and obsessed with a little bit the research of it. And keep in mind, this was before we could do a simple Google search.
Right.
I would listen all night after school to radio programs and listen to the credits and listen to the advertisers and listen to those things. I would listen to, music videos on BET, but then I would look for the credits at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen to see who the producer was and the director was and all of those things. And just all of those details really early. And I couldn't understand fully what it was about, but there was something that excited me about the business of music. Fast forward, I'm deciding at the end of my high school years, where I wanted to go to school. And that decision was purely based on being in a city where I could be proximate to the music industry. And it was like a secret thing that I didn't share with my parents, but I knew the criteria for me would be New York City, Atlanta, right? Those were the two cities that I thought, okay, at least I could get proximate and close to or adjacent to the music industry so I can see what this thing is all about. And then after that, it was just on. And I think, college for me was so empowering because I was able to see other people that looked like me with similar dreams. I didn't have that back home, right? Most of us didn't aspire to work in the music business, didn't aspire to work in the entertainment industry, but at Clark, Atlanta, everyone did, right? Like that was the majority.
No, you were there with some people that ended up in the industry.
I mean, Mace,
right?
DJ Drama, Brian Michael Cox, Felicia Fant, Heather Lowry. I can keep going. Nadine Gale, the list, Shaka Zulu. I can keep going of people who were literally side by side with me in the classroom for 4 years at Clark Atlanta University, and so we would just build and dream and share ideas. And so that built confidence in me that I wasn't, some dream chaser that was just thinking too far out of the box. I then knew, okay, this is an attainable dream. And then, I went to New York City soon after that. I did a stint in law school, realized quickly it wasn't for me, and then moved to New York City on my best friend Sabrina's couch. And the rest truly is history. I've been on this wild journey now for over 20 years, and I wouldn't change a thing. And, I remember those nights in New York City when no one would say yes to me to even be an intern. My T-Mobile cell phone would getting cut off because I couldn't pay the bill, living in an apartment that, my parents cried when they came to visit because they just couldn't believe their daughter lived here, right? All those things really happened.
You guys, her mom's a judge. And her dad is G.K. Butterfield, as in
congressman.
Yeah, and isn't he like the head of the Black Caucus too?
He was the chair of the CBC, and now he's the deputy whip. But my parents had their dreams for me, and I had my own, and so it's been a beautiful journey, but I think again a hard one. And I could have chosen the easier path, which would be stay in North Carolina, finish law school, work for a firm, and run for office and follow in my parents' footsteps. But instead, I chose the path less traveled for at least, where I'm from. And I wouldn't change a thing, but I'll say, we always glamorize the journey. And I think so often we want the quick way to the top. And now that I did it the long way, I can honestly say it's so much sweeter. Like every pivot, every tear, every moment that I made the wrong turn, I now know that it wasn't like that. No wasn't just a no. It was just redirecting me to where I needed to be.
Definitely. And I just thought of something, and of course it just left. Just give me a second here. I can't remember. I know. Girl Print. Can people still get the book?
Not yet. So we're going to do a restock of my book, my first title, which was The Girl Print, but I'm working on book number 2.
Okay.
So I can't give you any details yet because I don't know what they are. But as soon as I do, I will. But I'm working on book 2. I'm in the very early stages. But The Girl Print was my first book, and it really was a blueprint for young women to follow their dreams, and it did really well. And I'm working on restocking it now on Amazon. But yeah, great success from the book. But it's so funny because when I wrote my first book, I was married, I think, but not yet a mom. And, now I've had so many different experiences, and I'm so excited to now bring to book 2, the mom side, the wife of 10 years now side, and, all of these different professional experiences. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and it's a great book. So if when she does restock it, please make sure you grab it. But she definitely tells you how she got to where she is. And you guys really, we have to talk about the fact that you worked with our forever president, which I did tease that and tell everyone last week. So I remember because you were still in Chicago and you were like, Renee, the president's office is called. No, it wasn't the president at the time, but you're like, Barack Obama's office is called and they want me to work with them. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, they're vetting me. And I'm like, okay, whatever that means. Okay.
I mean, it goes back to where we started this conversation today, right? At 30 years old, when Dr. Renee and I met, I thought I had most of it figured out. And not even 9 months into the journey. Well, let me back up. Funny story. I think you know this, Dr. Renee, but maybe not. So I moved to Chicago at 30 years old because I panicked. Like I said earlier, not married yet, no children, didn't own a home, didn't have a big salary. So I moved to Chicago to work for what I thought was like a responsible, mature, role at the Alzheimer's Association because it was time again for me to grow up. Day one, this is the part I don't think you know, but maybe you do. My first day in Chicago, day one of my new role, I don't think you and I have met yet. I literally finished my first day at work. I was proud of myself in this new city. And I Google searched, top restaurants in Chicago. Found a restaurant called RL, Ralph Lauren Restaurant. I made a reservation, went to take myself to dinner by myself. And as soon as I walked into this small, quaint restaurant off of Michigan Avenue, they sat me next to Oprah Winfrey.
No, I don't know that.
This is true. This is true. Nobody believes.
I was gonna cut you off and tell you that's one of her favorites.
The first day of my new job in Chicago, and I'm in town now because I have to be a grown up and get myself together. And 5 o'clock, because I'm in a corporate environment, right? So 5 o'clock workday ends. I make my reservation. I head over to the restaurant. I walked in and they sat me next to Oprah Winfrey. And she's there on business, obviously, with like 2 other people, security around the restaurant, the whole thing. And they sat me down next to her and we, exchanged like a grin, but that was it. No words. And, she continued her dinner. I continued mine. And I'm sitting there to myself like, holy ish. Like Oprah is sitting next to me. Like, what? I must be on the right path. I was like, oh, like if this isn't a sign, God, thank you. I'm sitting next to Oprah Winfrey. Like, and we're acting like this is normal. Like I'm acting like this is just what I do, but I'm going crazy inside, right? So fast forward to maybe 7 months later, you and I have met. I got the call from soon to be, but we didn't know this, senator at the time, Obama's office, and they began the vetting process. at like 9 months into that role, I received the offer to come and work in the Obama administration. And it was one of those wild moments of, I knew for sure I had to take it, right? And I wanted to take it, but I didn't want to let my employer down. You know, I'd only been there 9 months. I didn't want to let, this is going to sound crazy, but like Chicago down. Like I gave, you know, like Chicago was like my new start. And I'm getting to know people. And, you know, I didn't want to let like my plans for Chicago down, because I had, you know, plans of things I wanted to do in the city. And then the third thing was fear. You know, I'm like, okay, you know, I saw Oprah day one. I had to be on the right path here. Like, how can I leave? Long story short, of course, I took the role. I spent 4 years in his administration and on his campaign. Wouldn't change a thing. But you never know where the path leads. And I think even when we have plans, and although we hear a voice or we may see signs, we have to be open. Mm-hmm. And I believe, had I not been open when I received the phone call and I told you, Dr. Renee, like, they're vetting me.
No, and then you I remember you sent the email and we're like, Renee, they offered me a job. I'm like, what?
What? And so, you know, imagine if I allowed like my rigid way of thinking. I'm 30, I'm in Chicago, I have this nice corner office, like I've met new friends here. I just need to stay because this is where I'm supposed to be. Imagine if I had done that, right? Like what would have happened? Who knows? Mm-hmm. But I know is that I don't have any regrets. And so just the message here to me is to be open on the journey, because you never know when the next door will open. You just have to be ready.
So not only, I think open, that's not only professional, you guys, but personal as well. So then you have to tell the story, because I don't think I had it on the first one, the story of how you met your husband.
So again, like Dr. Renee says, it goes back to being open. So at 29 years old, I was in a relationship with someone, and 30 was coming, and I freaked out, you know, because he wasn't talking anything serious. He wasn't, you know, on a path to like marriage. He would say those things, but you know, when a partner or someone that you're dating is like really serious about a future, or just talking to kind of keep
He's still single, isn't he? Okay, that's all. That's all. Okay, go ahead.
12 years later, okay, still single.
Look, I'm glad you didn't sit there and wait. Okay.
Right? But that goes back to the point, right? Because I think folks in your life will string you along if you let them. Mm-hmm. Right? Or and to give credit to, you know, folks who may do that, or they really think they're ready for something that they're not. Right? So they're trying to convince you of something that they haven't even convinced themselves of. So anyway, I broke up with said person.
Exactly.
And I was done. I was like, you know, I'm 30 now. I just moved to Chicago. I am done. I'm doing me now. And so that was the focus when I turned 30. I'm on my professional path. I'm not focused anymore on dating and who I'm going to marry. I'm going to date myself for at least a year or two, because I'm just trying to get centered in this new space that I'm in now, working for the president. Right. So in my mind, I got to get focused, because I'm going to work for the first Black president, and I cannot let him or this administration that took a chance on me down. So that was my path and focus. And I would say not even 3 months later, one of my very best friends, Adonis Spicer, who you know, called me and he said, "Boo, I got someone for you to meet." And I said, you know, I'm not on that right now, right? Like I'm fresh out of a relationship. You know, that was a lot. And I'm just trying to like get focused in my new role. He was like, "No, I'm telling you, you need to meet him." And so long story short, I left DC. He left Indiana. He played for the Indiana Pacers at the time. We met in New York City. And the day that we were supposed to meet, the morning was a Sunday. And I'll never forget, I didn't realize he flew to New York City only to take me to lunch. So I think he's already in New York City just doing what guys do. but he literally flew in on his only day off that week to take me to lunch without telling me that was the reason why. And so the morning of, I called Adonis and I said, boo, I'm not feeling it. I'm not going to go. And he said, wait, say what? I said, I'm not going. I don't feel cute today. I'm not really in the mood. It's Sunday. And maybe let him know maybe another time. And he said, this man flew to New York City just to take you to lunch. You better get down here. And out of my friendship to Adonis, I didn't want to let him down. I took a taxi. This is before Uber, by the way. I took it 2009. And I took a taxi down to the city. We went to, I mean, you know how it is, ladies, when you not really feeling it. I walked in like no makeup on, hair pulled up in a bun, sweatpants. And this fine 6'6" man walked in. And I said, oh, okay. And I went to the bathroom. I put on some makeup, let my hair down, and we've been together ever since. And so 12 years together, 10 years married this summer. And Dr. Renee, he's just a good guy.
Yeah. And so the funny thing is, everyone knows me. I don't do sports. So I don't know athletes. I don't do sports. Valeisha comes to Chicago. It must have been the coldest day of the year. Maybe the century was so cold that day. It was literally negative something outside, you guys, to the point like my car had to warm up for several minutes because it was that cold. I remember it was a Sunday. I was watching Amazing Race with my sister and my dad on the phone. And I was like, Valeisha's in town. She wants me to meet them for dinner in River North. And I'm like, it is freezing outside. She's got to be crazy. My dad goes, wait a minute. You won't leave the house now? It's cold and it's Sunday night. I go, oh, let me go. She wants me to come. I'm going to go. So I go. We're like the only people in the restaurant because it is so cold outside. Nobody has left their homes. I go in the restaurant and I don't know until she says, Dr. Renee, I'd like you to meet my fiance. I go, what?
Are we engaged then?
Yes. And I go, oh my God, that's why she wanted me to come so badly. Cause she kept texting like, come. And I'm like, fine. So I end up, I have to do my thing because I am slightly older than Valeisha, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And so I was like, let me talk to this man. So I talked to him a little bit on the side. And I was like, he actually sounds like he's got something upstairs, considering he does play basketball, but he seems like he knows something. And so I love him. He's the best. He is
the best. And I knew he was the one, not just because of how he treated me, but how he treated my friends like you. Yeah. Right. Like, I mean, in the middle of Chicago, sub-zero weather, for him to, for you to come out and for him to come out, let me know that he was one of us. Yeah. He's a good guy who's, really invested in not only me, but my friends and the people in my life. And he's been consistent.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? I did a blog post about him. I think it was a blog post, but I know I posted on my Facebook, but you guys, he is the true person. Keep swimming. It was when the movie had just come out. Dora's movie had just come out, the second Nemo, Finding Nemo, with her whole story. And he worked hard, but that's why he got the championship ring with the Cavaliers, because he worked really hard and he kept going at it. Because remember that year he had started out. Remember you got my parents' tickets and they went and saw him when he was in Detroit.
Yep.
And then he ends up on this winning team and they get the championship. But he is one of those people who
he's right here, babe. Dr. Renee, we're on a live TV show. Ask Dr. Renee, and look, an appearance from Dante Jones.
Hey, Dr. Renee.
Hey,
how are you?
This was not planned.
Here, talking her head off. I didn't know what was going on. I had to come and save her.
Oh, well, I was just talking about you. I was saying how I did a blog post about you because you were the true definition of keep on swimming, Dory and Nemo, because you worked so hard. And I was like, that's me. You got to keep going for it. And he had a goal in mind. I mean, I remember how many teams you were on that year, but you ended up with the ring. Yeah. And I know nothing about sports, but I was like, the funniest thing was, I think for whatever reason, I was home when you won. And I said, Mom, look, there's me. And my mother's like, oh, that's your friend. I was like, yes.
Okay, quick story. Right before you walked in, Dr. Renee was telling the story of how when I lived in Chicago.
Okay. Oh.
It was less than 0 degrees, sub-zero weather in Chicago.
Mhm.
And you and I were going to dinner, and we talked Dr. Renee into coming out to go to dinner with us. And she was like, they are crazy. It is like negative degrees outside. And she came, and we were engaged. And we shared the news with her at dinner.
It's always good seeing you, Dr. Renee.
You too. And you know what? Also, I remember, never will forget this. At the baby shower for Sophia.
Yeah.
Sophia's first baby shower. Dante was there, and I was telling you guys how I was dating online and how this guy kept making jokes about my height. And I told Dante, and he goes, well, if you told him you didn't want that, then why would he keep doing it? And I was like, thank you, a man's opinion, because I thought I was being really picky and crazy. But I was like, he keeps thinking it was funny, but it wasn't funny. And I was like, that's my brother ever since then. And then I saw you. Remember, I saw him at the game, the 4-on-4, the 3-on-3 game, the ice cube thing. And it was funny because I saw your cousin, and I told my friend that was next to me, I go, you know, my friend Valeisha, that's her husband's cousin over there. And then I looked, I go, wait a minute, that's her husband. And we were sitting, because I was with my friend who works for the radio. So we're sitting on the floor. So I was like, wait a minute, I'll be right back. And I went over there, and I was like, Dante. And he came over, and we took pictures and everything, and that was lovely. So that's like, I've seen Dante more recently than I've seen you.
I know. Excuse.
Yeah.
And he's coach now for the Clippers. So I'm so
Oh
proud.
my goodness. Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. But yes, that was a little extra something, you guys. You got to see Dante.
Y'all enjoy y'all time. I gotta get a nap. Good seeing you, Dr. Renee.
Bye, you too. But yeah, you guys, just a nice guy. And I, you know, you don't like all your friends' men. Most of yours I have not had a problem with. We've had some great times. I will never forget that day that I was at the airport and I saw somebody, and before I could even tell you I saw him, you called me. It was like, no, you text. It was like 2 of us in the text. You go, who saw him this morning?
Yep.
I was like, it was me. And she's like, well, he made sure to let me know. I was like, that is too funny. I hadn't even landed good.
Reese is talking.
I was like, that is so funny. But yeah, so Dante is great, and they have 2 adorable little boys. Adorable. And I finally did get
5 babies total. 5 total.
Yes, 5 kids total. And I did finally get to meet little Dylan when I went to California a couple years ago with his cute little. Actually, I got to meet both then. Yes, because I hadn't met DJ either.
DJ.
So yes, and so now she lives in California, where I swear is the land of the fruits and nuts. But she's probably one of the hardest working people in California. So how does somebody end up getting a new job in the middle of a pandemic?
Slide in the DMs. It's true. And everyone laughs when I say that, but I don't know of another time in my lifetime that we've had such a captive audience. And
You're
right. So as many people as I think I know, I still go old school and slide in DMs, and I don't stop or take no for an answer. Like, so if there's an opportunity that I really want, that I know I'm qualified for or ready for, I will slide in the LinkedIn DMs, the Instagram DMs, and shoot my shot in 3 or 4 sentences or less. And then I'm consistent with my follow-up until I just realize I'm literally not going to get a response. But I think, it's important, though, if that is your approach, to make sure that it's a focused one. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not sliding in 20 people's DMs, but maybe 1 or 2 that are truly stakeholders or, people that can influence the outcome. And so, yeah, I would say slide in the DMs and shoot your shot. And don't be afraid. Be bold with the ask. And I think, before the pandemic, I would maybe overthink the qualifications for the opportunity, or overthink, well, this person is, had that role before, or this person, may be more qualified than me. But I stopped the negative self-talk and just went for it anyway in quarantine. And I'm telling you, it's paid off. You will blow your mind, I believe, when you move with intention, move with confidence, and shoot your shot now, especially when people are more, willing and open to responding because they have more time. So I would say that. And then the second thing is, you know, or just build your own table
Right.
as you've done, right? And I think so often we're only focused on having a seat at someone else's table, and we don't focus enough on building our own. And so entrepreneurship is another thing that I'm heavily focused on now, because I really believe that to leave a legacy for me, and not necessarily for everyone, but for me, a big part of that is ownership. And so thinking about, as I, work for other people and companies, as I have a seat at other tables, I also am equally focused in my time on building my own, because I think, the more you see women in leadership, the more you see women in business, the more you see us in ownership positions, the more we can multiply that for other women, right, to have a seat. And so, I would say those would be the two areas.
Yeah. So do you call this job, is this your dream job or no?
Yes, for sure. It's my dream job. Like, what? Music, diversity, like, too good to be true. But I'm now learning that you can have more than one dream job in a lifetime.
Right.
And I didn't know that before, right? Like, I thought the dream job was the destination. But working for President Obama was a dream job. This role now is a dream job. And I feel so blessed that in this lifetime, I've had, a few moments that I can call my dream job. And for sure, where I am today is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
So I saw in the comments of something you posted like yesterday or something that Jimmy Jam had commented. I was like, my God.
Like, Jimmy Jam, first of all, is a legend.
I know. And that's why I'm like, oh my God.
And an icon.
Yeah.
And then he's super kind and talented and professional and nice. And at the Grammys 2 weeks ago, he walked over to me first because we had never met in person. Right. So we were Instagram and virtual friends through my role. And he walked up to me and said, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Jimmy. And I said, sir, I know. And we ended up sitting together at the Grammys and taking selfies together. And it just felt like an old friend. And so every day of my life in this current role blows my mind. Right? Like, one day I'm with Issa Rae and Janelle Monáe moderating a conversation. The next day I'm in a serious meeting with John Legend, and he's asking me questions about data and analysis because, he's really into data and analysis, by the way. And it's just, it's mind blowing. And, even bigger than that, just working with really good people every day on staff who are just, supportive, treat me like family and really, lift me up every day has been such a gift, because we all know how it feels to work in an environment where you don't feel like you belong.
Right.
Or to work in an environment where you're not treated with respect. And I truly am where I am now, and it feels really good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, I celebrate all my friends because I keep telling everybody, I'm just waiting for my turn. And, I've created this and this is doing well. Thank you guys. Thank you all the super chats and the super stickers and all the people on the email list and those that follow me. I appreciate it because, I've actually had some really great meetings recently and I'm really excited. And you guys do know I keep teasing it, but my book is coming out in May.
Yes.
And we will have a cover really soon. And then those on the email list will see it. And you might actually get to help me pick the color of the cover. But the book is coming out in May, and I'm really excited about that because this book has been a long time in the making. But I'm so thankful. I'm like, Jesus, Lord. But I celebrate everybody because I'm like, I remember when, and I'm like, look now. And it's just amazing to see people just killing it. And I was just like, and anybody who did see the Grammys this year, it was an excellent show. So please make certain that you did support.
And support your book. I cannot wait for it to come out.
Yes.
May?
May. It's a significance with May. I'll tell you about it later. But what you call it?
To the New York Times bestsellers list. So let's make sure that we all.
So you know what I learned?
What?
If you self-publish, it can't be on the New York Times bestsellers list.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I just learned this last week.
Huh. Okay.
In my research. So It unfortunately won't. This one won't be there unless maybe some publishing house will pick it up and republish it, and maybe it will.
Yep.
So, but I've already claimed I'm going to be on GMA3 and I'm going to be on Kelly Clarkson.
Yes, claiming it.
So, yep. So I'm telling you that now. Oh, and did you see that I moderated that panel for Music Cares?
Yes, I did.
They already said they want to do something with it as well.
Because you're amazing.
So I'm very excited.
And for those who know, Music Cares is an organization that's a part of the Recording Academy that is focused on health and human services. My girl Laura Segura is the executive director of it, and it's an amazing org. And over $20 million has been given away to creators who have been impacted by COVID this year. And so Dr. Renee was an amazing moderator for that program, and I can't wait to see what we do next.
Yeah, so that'll be really cool. I'm very excited about that. But any last tidbits that people could pick up? Because there is a lot of people, obviously, that still do have 9-to-5s. And obviously, you have this lovely corporate gig, but you also do have the entrepreneurial side. So either side, just tidbits that, could help them to, even though you've already dropped several gems, but any other last minute tidbits?
What I'll say is this, right? Like, I think a lot of us glamorize being a boss or being a CEO and make you feel like if you're not, starting your own business, that you're less than. And I want to just ground us in that having a 9-to-5 is also being a boss. And it is okay if that is the path that you've chosen and that is the path that you choose to stay on. And so please don't feel pressured or guilt when Instagram is telling you that you need to be your own CEO and be your own boss. There's no guilt or shame in having a 9-to-5. I have one too. Also, if you are an entrepreneur, right? If you are running your own business and it gets hard, remember that you are there doing this for a reason. And so stay the course, stay the path, and don't be afraid to go after the revenue or the resources or the capital that you need for your business to grow and thrive. The last thing I'll say, though, is if you have the desire to do both, like I do, right? I have a 9-to-5 that I'm passionate about, that I enjoy, that I feel so much purpose in, and I'm building my own table at the same time. That is called intrapreneurship. Mm-hmm. And if you choose a path of intrapreneurship, just know it will be hard, but it will be worth it. And I really believe that when we are put that purpose on our heart, like when we know that that is the path that we're meant to be on, even in those hard moments, it will so pay off. And I can't tell you how good it feels whenever maybe a friend like Bevy Smith, for example, calls me and she says, V, I'm proud of you, but it's not for the reason you think it is. Yeah, I see what you're doing with Obama and Google and the Grammys and all that. And I'm proud of you, but I'm more proud of you because you didn't give up on your dreams in the process. And so whatever your dreams are, just know you're worthy of them. You're ready for them. You're capable of them. But to Dr. Renee's point, you just got to move, right? Yeah. You just got to take the step.
And you also, please keep your integrity. That's the other thing I love about Valeisha is she was, I guess technically you could call her, she was a basketball wife, but she wasn't in that sense that we've seen. And so I never had to worry about, what's going to happen when I get there or what am I, nothing like that. It was never like that. And honestly, you probably wouldn't even realize her husband was a basketball player half the time. I mean, he's just a regular guy to me.
Regular guy.
But and they're a regular family,
Yeah, I was about to say it's so normal around here. And that's what life is about, right? I think being able to turn on and off those things, because those things don't matter. Right. At the end of this life that we all have, no one will care how many degrees we had, how many titles we had, who was married to what. All they will care about is how we treated people, how we lived our lives, and how we helped others along the way. I truly believe that. And so that always helps me keep things in perspective and helps me keep my feet grounded, right? Because I know tomorrow, all of this could be over, right? And what I want at the end is to be able to say, you know, she was a good person who did the right thing and help people along the way.
And
you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. But yeah, she is absolutely right. We have to show up for our people and help people along the way. So if everyone knows, the show is especially this season has been a testament to. Valeisha doesn't know, but I became a trader. So I day trade and I option trade. And so I brought my teachers in and I've said, we've sat here and talked so then they can learn about them and you can go and get the same course I took. You can go and get it and go get this money. It's not hard to get.
Ooh.
What'd you say?
I said, oh, I know that's right.
So, you know, I joined an investment mastermind this past year as well. And so I'm currently in that. I brought my coach here. She dropped the gems and my coach actually lives in Oakland. And that's where she's from. And so she dropped her gems about what you need to do for your money as well. We've had Victor Jones on from Doe, who is the Black man that created a platform that is basically competitor to Robinhood. And it's a Black man that created this, and he is killing the game. Wow. And they're not taking people's money. That's all I have to say. And so I've been trying to pull up and help as many people as I can. And I tell everyone, especially those that have come into the trading course, I'm like, I'm not going to leave you behind. Yeah. I will keep offering my help and trying to make sure that you get exactly what you need to get so that you can get this money too. Because I keep telling people money is not the root of all evil. Money gives you options.
Yes, true.
You options to pay for your children's education, or where they decide to go, where you live. You know, redlining is still a thing. So you need to figure out, you know, where you want to live, and you need to have the money to show up to live there. And I remember you telling me a story about your house and how you thought you were going to live one place and you couldn't live there. So,
reality check.
Yeah. So you guys, these things still happen in the year 2000s. So money gives you options. And that's why I try to help you to understand how to make sure you get this money. Because at the end of the day, you need your health, most importantly, and then you need money. Period. That's it. Simple. Those are the two things I tell you. That's what I'm about. When I get the talk show, money, medicine, and music. Those are the 3 M's. That's me. Isn't that? Look, would you like to produce it? So you guys, please follow Valeisha everywhere. She's on Instagram. She's really heavily on Instagram. So that's probably the best place to follow her. Go to her website, join the Patreon. She does a podcast, and the podcast is exclusive to the patrons, right?
Correct.
Yes. So she does a podcast. Like I said, she does the Masked Herd classes every week. And
playbacks for those are exclusive on Patreon too. So if ever you cannot make a Friday night class, you can get them on Patreon.
So definitely please join. And what is next? Yona.
Stay tuned. I don't know. I'm enjoying being present right now. Right. And that's new for me, by the way. Like I'm always thinking ahead. I have my 5-year, 10-year plan, but for the first time ever, I'm fully engaged in the present because I want to do a good job. I want to make impact, and I want to like enjoy the moment that I'm in because I'm really blessed to have such a beautiful, beautiful like space in my life where I know I'm exactly where I need to be. So I'm just present, doing the best job I can, and we'll see.
Yes. And I don't know how she does it all, but she somehow gets it all done because her children, they're actually really good children. And so
depends on who you ask.
So yes, everyone, please don't forget to tune in next week. And of course, I have been busy myself with this book. So I didn't make the flyer yet, but I will create it today. But next week's guest is Cece Michaela. And if you don't know who Cece Michaela is, she was the cop from Girlfriends, Yvonne. And she's been on Broadway, Jelly's Last Jam, and a whole lot of other things. But she will be on to tell us her story next week. And April, we have a whole lot of really great people on. So I will definitely post all that. So you need to get on the list. Text Live Life to 66866. Get on my list. And definitely make sure you don't miss any of my updates because you want to make sure that you don't miss them so you can get your questions in because you might have questions. Maybe you're a budding actress. I don't know. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And if you are just catching this and you missed the beginning, please watch the beginning. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replay, but make sure you tell somebody else, because everyone needs some inspiration, especially in these times. You know, the numbers are going up, unfortunately, on COVID. But, oh, and I am not going to leave without, did I do this? No, I didn't. One last thing, you guys, in case you didn't see my PSA, it's very short, but this is my PSA on your COVID vaccine. I'm signing you up for the vaccine. Why, you ask? Because we need to be vaccinated. Just like we take measles, mumps, rubella, and all the other vaccines, we took polio. How did we eliminate those diseases? Because we got vaccinated. Not to mention, you know, we want to travel. We need to go back home to Antigua. And to leave the country, we're going to need to be vaccinated. And we'll probably need it to get back into this country. So we're going to go get vaccinated. If we have any side effects, we'll take some Tylenol, and I'm sure we'll be fine the next day. But we both know that it's just not worth taking the risk. Dr. Renee. So you guys, that PSA has already been viewed like 300 and something thousand times. Blows me away. But thank you, Black Doctor Foundation and Facebook. Facebook wanted to get some Black doctors to promote the vaccine. And so I did that. And I actually got my first shot on Wednesday. I'm very excited. So I will be back. I got Moderna, in case anyone wanted to know. And if you have questions, you guys can send them to me, DM me, and I will answer them. But that is it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for those that came and joined me. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you, Valeisha.
Renee.